people transforming either through insight or crisis.
Yeah.
I think we oscillate between both, most of us throughout our life. And those challenges that arise in our life, whether they be relationship dynamics, financial struggles, something inner with our mind or body or emotion, right? When perceived as opportunities for growth, what you resist persists in that saying, right? So like when you accept it as a challenge, when you accept it as an opportunity for growth, then like when you go to the gym and you work out, you understand the challenge, you choose it, right?
Right.
And I feel like when you choose it, our relationship completely changes and it allows us to have synergy with it instead of it's me versus life. I feel like so much of our time here often is like in this subtle but pervasive energy of the way my life is right now is not how it should be.
Right.
You know?
That's great. That's good. Yeah. You use the word weights. I often like to say that imagine you're just in a big weight room. You're in density, time, gravity. Yeah. You're here lifting weights, and you got time and space, things that don't really exist. They're abstract mental concepts. They're not like forever, But while you're in time and space, this is a weight room, and it's actually a canvas by which you get to paint with the colors of your soul. And so you're here lifting weights. Sometimes you have to lift weights around love and forgiveness. Sometimes you have to lift weights around contribution and generosity, or whatever quality that seems to be lacking. You actually have to go in and lift that weight. You have to actually perceive it. You have to actually shift your perception. You have to actually change your conversation around it. And until that weight becomes easy, it's like, oh yeah. So I think that's a great analogy.
We have these moments of insight, of revelation, where we kind of get our head above the ocean, tide, and we can see this life and how it's set up in these different dynamics. And then we come back into the weight room, so to speak, and live our life. Those moments where we do kind of get our head above the water and we see how this is very much like a simulation.
Yes.
It's like all these relationships.
It is a simulation.
Yeah.
It's a matrix. Because it's the condensation of thoughts, beliefs, perceptions, opinions, points of view that have condensed itself into a world of appearances. It's always changing. And once you, like you say, when you pop up and you see that you're having a dream of separation, but you're never separated from the divine. It's an impossibility, but we dream we are. And then the world of appearances, the collective belief impacts us. So we have a whole collective superstitious belief about separation. Then you have all these religions that have their point of view, and oftentimes religiosity takes over that locks people into a religion rather than into the transcendent. So people end up fighting about being a certain religion, which the religion itself was to take you beyond religion. It just becomes a whole dynamic of superstitious thought that creates a simulation of separation. Doesn't even exist. It's not even real. When I mean real, it's not eternal.
Yeah.
There's
that perspective and that balance of things can, be real to us, but they're not in the absolute truth of how things are, actually happening.
Right.
You appear to be separate from me right now.
Right.
And you appear to be over there, like a few feet away from me. But the reality is this image is being inverted, and we know the whole story, right? You're happening. We are phenomena appearing inside of ourselves, within one another.
Yeah. And that's why healing, it's like in a moment of real healing, it just simply means that which has never been hurt, it's a revelation, it's a revealing of that which is never hurt. So then the body changes, or the mental body changes. And then I've had an opportunity to be a part of that a lot, where it's like, how did that happen? Well, you dreamt about this disease, but now you woke up to the fact that there's a part of you that can't even ever be diseased. Yeah. I was in the store the other day, and the woman was so rude and just, it was like giving me no energy. I'm buying stuff, no energy. It was just like, and part of my mind said, this person really shouldn't be with the public. She should be in the back room working, but she shouldn't be out here. And then I changed. I said, you know what? I don't know what happened to this woman. She may have gotten a bad phone call, may have had some trouble with her kids at home. I just started thinking, and then I started having compassion. It's like, she's just having a bad day. I'm good. And then all of a sudden, she's changed right in front of my face. She started smiling and becoming really polite and extra helpful. So I think there was like this connection with us on the invisible side. And when I saw her as human, and maybe just having a bad day and got curious as to why she was acting this way, she changed. So then I thought about the fact that I was in a conversation with Rabbi Sharon Brous recently, and we were talking about the fact that tyranny and tyrants cannot exist in the field of love. That it can only happen if people are separated from each other and have polarization and hates and live in their opinions. And so what if we all just started thinking about people who don't like us, but become curious as to why? Why are they acting like this? Why don't they like me? Why don't these men like women? Why don't these people don't like people with a lot of melanin? And you start to have a level of compassion as to what happened to them that would forge such a limited perception. And then in that moment of compassion, we start to develop a whole nother energy on the planet of which tyranny cannot invade because we're all in love.
Mm-hmm. It's a trip when we catch ourselves in those moments of how we're seeing life through our own distorted perception of it and not as it actually is.
Right.
And then you get those moments where you can sort of collapse the energy and you have that deeper connection, right? And you recognize, we're all one. You see the humanity behind somebody. There's plenty examples where we could look online or see the things that are happening in the world and judge it and condemn it, hate it. Not to say that these things are right by any means, but you're inviting the deeper understanding of something leaves no space to judge it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Once you go to the depth of it, you can see any things that impacted people, traumas, dramas, unhealed issues, and that's what's running them. And rather than judge it, you can become a place of healing. I teach the practitioners at Agape that when you see a lot of calamity going on in the world, whether it's war, hate, whatever the case may be, that is the world inviting you for prayer. If somebody comes to you and says, I have a diagnosis of some kind, can you hold me in prayer? You're going to say, yes, of course. So when you see all this stuff erupting on the world, that's the world inviting us into prayer rather than judgment.
Like a planetary disease.
It's like wars and rumors of wars and hate. It's like, cancer. Let me go into prayer rather than judgment. Because if everybody's in judgment, there's not going to be any healing. There's not going to be any forward movement.